overwhelmed the first gate of the complex. The protesters overwhelmed the first gate of the complex, inflicting damage on the security post, and marched on to the second one just before the main complex, where the lawmakers were in session. The protesters also damaged the police vehicle and several other vehicles belonging to visitors, lawmakers, and staff of the National Assembly, who also sustained varying degree of injuries. 7. On 22nd July 2019, the Islamic movement in Nigeria members again launched another vicious cycle of violent protests around the Federal Secretariat, during which they set a substation of the National Emergency Management Agency containing a truck and ambulance on fire. The Deputy Commissioner of Police, Usman Umar, in charge of operation at the Federal Capital Territory Police Command, and Precious Owolabi, a National Youth Service Corps member in the FCT, were killed, and several others injured, with many properties destroyed by them. The violent activities of Islamic movement in Nigeria, under the guise of clamoring for the release of their leader, who is being detained on the order of a court of competent jurisdiction in Kaduna State, has not only confirmed their disdain for due legal processes, but has heightened tension and insecurity in the country in a manner that confirms that their motivation is to destabilize the country. It is obvious from the foregoing that the activities of Islamic movement in Nigeria constitute glaring defiance and rebellion against the Nigerian state. Calculated efforts to plunge the nation into ethno-religious war, intimidation of citizens and security agents, disrespect for Nigerian laws and the authority of the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. Their activities also clearly and consistently negates Section 1, Subsection 2A and B of the Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act of 2013, and Section 2A, B, A, B, C of the Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act of 2013, and hence justifies their proscription in overriding national security interests. Although this meeting will review this and other general security situations and in place appropriate action plans that are targeted at addressing this threat, let me affirm that in relation to the Islamic movement in Nigeria, in view of their increasing engagement of terror tactics and other violent and subversive activities which contravene the Terrorism Prevention Act of 2013 as amended, and violate the judicial pronouncement of the Federal High Court Abuja on the 26th of July 2019, the federal government has classified them as a terrorist group and has accordingly proscribed the El-Zazaki-led Islamic movement in Nigeria. In consequence, henceforth, any person engaged or associating in any manner that could advance the activities of the proscribed Islamic movement in Nigeria shall be treated as a terrorist, enemy of state, and of subversive element, and shall be brought to justice within the context of the Terrorism Act. The impact of this is that all forms of procession or protest by Islamic movement in Nigeria is now illegal and thus banned. The police and other security agencies are fully committed to giving full effect to this judicial pronouncement in the interest of our internal security and national cohesion. In this regard, I wish to solicit the support of members of the public, specifically in the provision of information that will aid in the identification of the location of the Islamic movement in Nigeria members and their mentors and sponsors, as well as in working with us in apprehending and bringing them to justice. For the purpose of clarification, Nigeria is a secular state with constitutional provisions guaranteeing the freedom to practice our faith. This, however, must be exercised in a manner that will not threaten our national security. Hence, it is to be emphasized that while the adherents of the Shia sect in Nigeria remain free to continue to practice their faith and shall be guaranteed adequate security to do so, as the judicial order does not stop them, the Zaki-led Shiite Islamic movement in Nigeria, which does not recognize or accept the Constitution and the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is the sole organization that has been classified as a terrorist organization and proscribed. I want to commend all the strategic commanders and their officers and men for their dedication to duty and the sacrifices they have to make in the line of duty. In this context, I wish to particularly recognize and condole the family of late Deputy Commissioner of Police Usman A.K. Umar and Precious Owolabi, the National Youth Service Corps member that lost their lives during the recent violent campaign of members of the proscribed Islamic movement in Nigeria in Abuja on 22nd July 2019. I also commiserate with all